So, this is a rhetorical question. How peaceful are you? How peaceful are you? When I start thinking about that for myself, about how peaceful I am, I start thinking about, okay, well, all right. I go with like a number 1 to 10. How peaceful am I? Well, all right, well, I'm not a 10. I'm not a 1, somewhere in the middle. Maybe I think I'm on the higher side of peaceful. And then I start going, what makes me unpeaceful? And is that thing that makes me unpeaceful, is that a big thing or a little thing? Like, for example, if I'm traveling on the road and I want to turn left and there are some slow pedestrians going across the street and I can't make my light because they're moving so slowly, I find that makes me unpeaceful. And I think, oh, I really shouldn't do it. That shouldn't make me unpeaceful. I shouldn't take my peace. Maybe I'm not as close to a 10 as I thought I was. There are some things that remove our peace. How peaceful are you with your job situation, with the stuff you have? Does somebody getting a new car or a new house, does that kind of stuff bother you? I bring this up because today's story, as far as I see it, is about peacefulness and about someone who's already really peaceful. First time I read this story, a couple weeks ago, looking forward to the service, first pass, I just go, oh, well, this is just another child raised from the dead in the Bible. Here we go again. We've heard this story before. But when I started looking more at it and saying, well, what's the details here? What's different about this story than the other ones? What do we have here? Why is the Lord telling us about this Shunammite woman who's got a child who dies and is raised? We've heard this story before, Lord. Well, the key to this story, as I figure it, is the woman. Shunammite. It's a Hebrew word, and Shunem is Hebrew for peaceful, harmony. It's got a few different, possible definitions, but something along those lines of peaceful, full of peace. It's about a village, Shunem. It's derived from Solomon, and it's about peace. This woman is peaceful. And you can see it as the story unfolds, the contentment that she has in life. And as we watch it, we see that she gets further blessed because of this peacefulness. Listen to this story, this number from Secrets of Heaven. I want you to ask yourself, are you this peaceful? None but the person who is acquainted with the state of peace is capable of knowing about serenity of the peace of the external man, which ensues when conflict, the unrest caused by evil desires and falsity, comes to an end. All right? The peace and serenity that is in your worldly life, when all that conflict, when you're finally content, happens, right? That state of joy is so joyful that it transcends every idea of joy. It's not just an end of conflict. It's also a life coming from an inward peace, influencing the external man in a way that defies description. At that point, truths of faith and goods of love are born, which draw their life from the joy that peace brings. Are you that peaceful? My scale of 1 to 10, I'm going, nope, not there. Not there. Don't think so. I am not so joyful that it's transcending every idea of joy I had previously. I'm pretty good, but I'm not like that. I think most of us fall in that category of not mastering that level of peace. It's an end of conflict. Whatever stuff you've worked on in life, it's done. It's in the past. You've sorted it out. You're content. And at that point, truths of faith and goods of love are born. With that contentment, something new is born. So let's go through this story and kind of unpack its little secrets, its little details. And you'll see how this woman, who's so content, is blessed by having this child. But she has to kind of integrate this child into her life as a blessing and how to kind of grow with it. So here we go. One day, Elisha went to Shunem, right? Peace. He went to peace. A well-to-do woman was there who urged him to stay for a meal. So whenever he came by, he stopped there to eat. She said to her husband, I know that this man who often comes our way is a holy man of God. Let's make a small room on the roof and put in it a bed and a table and a chair and a lamp for him. Then he can stay here whenever he comes to us. So, the first stop here is about a roof and a room. Okay? So a roof means about what is inmost, the inmost part of ourselves. And a bedroom represents things that cannot be seen, that are at that inmost part of us. So here you have the woman. She's peaceful, and what does she do? She invites the Word, she invites the Lord into this inner place. Someplace so deep that she can't even really see it. It's the Word is written on her heart. It's not about memorizing 10 Commandments. It's there in her. That's where Elijah is. One day when Elisha came, he went up to his room and lay down there. He said to his servant Gehazi, call the Shunammite. So he called her, and as she stood before him, Elisha said to him, tell her, you have gone to all this trouble for us. Now what can be done for you? Can we speak on your behalf to the king or the commander of the army? She replied, I have a home among my people. I mean, think about this. The king and the army. This is Elisha. The king and the army were a big deal right then, right? It's representative of all the worldly cares, how the way the world works on that external level. Imagine if somebody came to you and said, hey, I got this really wealthy friend who lives up on the Gold Coast. Hey, would you like me to introduce you to him? They could probably spot you a nice place. Yeah, thanks. She's like, nope, I'm good. How about the commander of the army? We'll get you protection. None of these tax collectors will bother you. All this stuff. Nope. I've got a home in my own country, among my people. I'm good. How many of us can be offered a lottery ticket like that and say, meh, I'm fine. I got what I need. A lot of us are pretty good at saying we got what we need when we're not getting what we want. Yeah, okay, I really want this other stuff, but I've got enough. But when you're offered the ticket, and would you say, no, I wouldn't. So somebody wants to offer me a big pile of cash, thank you very much. She's more content, more peaceful. I don't have that, apparently. Willing to own that? She says, I have a home among my people. Well, what can be done for her, Elisha asked. Gehazi said, she has no son, and her husband is old. All right? Now, husbands normally represent truth. But in this case, it's reversed. She represents truth, and he represents goodness. And it's because of this level of contentment, because she's kind of on a celestial level, a higher level, the roles are reversed. And the husband is about goodness. And he's old. So there's a way she's been running her life that is essentially good, but there's something new that's coming. The husband is old. There's something else. There's no son. The husband is old. Elisha said, call her. So he called her, and she stood in the doorway. Like in a doorway, that transition, something new is happening. About this time next year, he said, you will hold a son in your arms. No, my lord, she objected. Please, man of God, do not mislead your servant. Now, anybody knows a woman who has not had a child and wants a child, you don't just go around throwing around, you're going to have a kid next year. That's opening up a whole can of hurt and pain and all that other stuff that goes with it. Telling a woman, no, do not tell me that. I am content. I am happy. Leave me alone. Don't tell me I'm going to get a son. It's just not going to happen. Please, don't mislead me. But the woman became pregnant. And at the next year, at that same time, she gave birth to a son, just as Elisha had told her. Now, sons in particular are about rational truths, things that you know that relate to spiritual life. It's a ratio between this world and the next. It's like an applicable truth, a way of knowing things that you can relate this life to the next. That's what a rational truth is defined as. So what's being born into her life is a new way of understanding the world in relation to the next life. So the child grew, and one day he went out to his father, who was with the reapers. And he said to his father, "My head, my head!" His father told a servant, "Carry him to his mother." And after the servant had lifted him up and carried him to his mother, the boy sat on her lap until noon, and then he died. Noon, it's highest light of the day, so things are going well, and then you're starting to enter towards darkness. Still light. I mean, this woman's content. This woman's really got it together. It's not darkness like Christmas time darkness. This is, springtime kind of darkness, summertime kind of darkness, where it's still light out, but things aren't going right. She went up and laid him on the bed of the man of God, and then shut the door and went out. She called her husband and said, "Please send me one of the servants and a donkey so I can go to the man of God and quickly return." Okay, so anybody who's been to a Palm Sunday service, I hope can know by now, donkeys, again, are about a natural mind. So, when Jesus comes walking into the Jerusalem on Palm Sunday and he's riding on the donkey, it's about he is in God's ruling over our natural mind. That, again, that external worldly self. So here she is. She's representing truth. She's over there with her natural mind. This is how the world works. Sickness and health and all these things, all these ideas about it are going to the Word. She's going to the Lord. "Why go to him today?" the husband asks. "It's not the new moon or the Sabbath. It's not a holiday. It's not a religious festival. Why are you bothering him on this? There's no point. The boy's dead." "It's all right," she said. She's going to the Word anyway. She saddled the donkey and said to her servant, "Lead on. Don't slow down for me unless I tell you." So she set out and came to the man of God at Mount Carmel. When he saw her in the distance, the man of God said to his servant, "Gehazi, look, there's the Shunammite. There's the peaceful woman. She's really content. Run and meet her and ask her, 'Are you all right? Is your husband all right? Is your child all right?'" "Everything is all right," she said. "What? No, it's not. Your child just died." Is this woman content? Seems as she is. It doesn't seem like a throwaway line the way the context lines up. No, everything's all right. I just need to see you. No. When she reached the man of God at the mountain, she took hold of his feet. Gehazi came over and pushed her away, but the man of God said, "Leave her alone. She's in bitter distress. The Lord has hidden it from me and has not told me why." "Did I ask you for a son, my Lord? Didn't I tell you, don't raise my hopes?" Elisha said to Gehazi, "Tuck your cloak into your belt. Take my staff in your hand and run. Don't greet anyone you meet, and if anyone greets you, do not answer. Lay my staff on the boy's face. As surely as the Lord lives and as you live, I will not leave you." So he got up and followed her. Gehazi went on ahead and laid the staff on the boy's face, but there was no sound or response. So Gehazi went back to meet Elijah and told him, "The boy has not awakened." So Gehazi's the servant. And servants in general are about intellect. All right? So when you have Elisha who has the servant with him, you have the rod, which is a rod of power. We see that all throughout Scripture. Moses' rod, parts the Red Seas, turns the water to blood, all that stuff. It's about power, and it's combined with an intellect. So intellectual power goes to the boy, and nothing happens. And this is where miracles often fail to materialize in our lives. Because we go to them and we say, well, this can't possibly happen, but Lord, can you help? Right? We say, there's no way, the kid's dead, it's all this, bang, it's done. And we sit there, all right, Lord, here's your power, boom, and we try to put some intellectual meaning as to why it shouldn't happen, and nothing happens. Nothing happens. When Elisha reached the house, there was a boy lying dead on his couch. He went in, he shut the door, and the two of them prayed to the Lord. And he got on the bed, he lay on the boy, mouth to mouth, eyes to eyes, hands to hands. As he stretched himself out on the boy's body grew warm. And Elisha turned away and walked back and forth in the room, and then got on the bed and stretched out on him once more. The boy sneezed 7 times and opened his eyes. What is that all about? Well, hands are also about power. So Elisha, again, it's the word, he comes and he connects hands to hand. It's power. Eyes, the understanding of truth and the perception of truth. 7, he walks around the room 7 times. It's about completeness. Oh, and I forgot the mouth. The mouth is the inward speech that belongs to thoughts. All those things that are going on in your mind. So Elisha, the word, is connecting with this rational truth, this boy, that's supposed to help the mother learn more about connecting the two lives, the natural and the spiritual. He connects them together and connects them to those levels. Then he sneezed 7 times. Now I searched high and low as to a correspondence for sneezing, and you can't find one. It doesn't ever show up in the writing. Sneezing does not show up. But when I poke around, all right, we have a general idea that sneezing is, it's clearing something out that's an irritant. But I kept poking around. There's a study done about 5 years ago, and it talks about how, there's an irritant that starts it, but the repeating of the sneezing does basically a resetting of the system. And it says, it doesn't just get out the irritant, it just control, alternate, delete. We're going to reboot that nose and clean it out and start fresh again. It's like a cycle that happens where you build up enough gunk and finally you got to get rid of it. And to me, when I see the boy sneezes, it's a resetting. There was something going on in that boy's life, and now with this miracle that's happened for the woman, there's a reset. It's now this new truth, this new blessing that was born into her life is now integrated in. Because for as content as she was, there was still issues. Don't offer me a boy. Don't give me that. Don't tell me you're going to give me that. That's too much. But he does. And this is a blessing that's born out of contentment. She's done so well, he's like, I'm going to take you to a new place. There's something new you're going to get. You're so content, you've got so much going right for you, but there's a little higher I can take you because of where you already are. It's that whole, you can see farther because you're standing on the shoulders of giants thing. She can be even happier because she was so content in the first place. Elisha summoned Gehazi and said, call the Shunammite, and he did. And when she came, he said, take your son. She came in, fell at his feet, and bowed to the ground. And she took her son and went out. She has the Lord close by, and it all works out. But it's hard, even for a woman who's very content. She goes to the Word. She goes to the Lord for help. I need a miracle. How peaceful is that woman now? She's gone through her trial of faith. How peaceful is she now? None but the person who's acquainted with the state of peace is capable of knowing about the serenity of the peace of the external man, which ensues when conflict, the unrest caused by evil desires and falsities, comes to an end. The state is so joyful that it transcends every idea of joy. It's not just an end of conflict, it's also the life coming from an inward peace, influencing the external man in a way that defies description. At that point, truths of faith and goods of love are born, which draw their life from the joy that peace brings. That number, to me, speaks to how this woman is now, right? She's got it all. She was peaceful before. Now she's probably transcended to something higher. This child, the good and loves that are born, that's this child. And anything else that comes up in her life, do you think it's going to bother her now? Now that she's been through this? How could it? Elisha's there in that inner room, that inner place. The word is so close, so deep, it can't even be seen sometimes. She's tested that faith. She knows that when things go wrong, she doesn't go being upset, everything's okay. She goes to the word, everything's okay. It's not kind of okay, but I'm going to go to the word, and there's going to be an answer. And sure enough, there was. The miracles happen. It happens for us sometimes on a deeper spiritual level. But sometimes these things really do happen for people. The miracles are all around us. And sometimes you get them just when you're doing the right thing. Amen.